What an absolutely goofy episode of the case study of Vanitas. What was interesting is actually they kind of interweaved some pretty heavy stuff at the same time as having this really goofy date. We want to call it a date. But that's my thoughts on episode 11 of the case study of Vanitas. We're almost done with this core of this particular part. It's two parts of it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. But yeah, half of this episode was just absolute dorkness. And I knew it pretty much right off the bat, and I'm pretty sure everybody else was kind of getting the same hint from Vanitas that this is kind of a play of seeing who can get the other one in their hand as they went along. But yeah, basically, John sends an invitation to Vanitas, wants to go on a date, and she's like, I want to, you've done so much for me, and you've done so much for people, and I just have these feelings, and I think I want to express them. And you'll find out that, yeah, Jean apparently went to Domi and said, hey, I need to get Vanitas to hate me. What can I do? And Domi's like, I have no clue what to do here, but she's so cute when she's in the predicament that she is. But yeah, Domi basically suggests as well. Apparently he told Noe at some point that he will never love somebody that loves him. And so just make him love you or show that you love him. And so that's why she's going this whole charade of trying to act as if she has feelings for Vanitas in order to throw him off and make him hate her. But it seems like really quickly, right off the bat, yeah, Vanitas is like, oh, okay, two can play that game. let's do this. And he just goes right into it and completely destroys her every turn. And yeah, the entire time, pretty much John is having obvious feelings of that she doesn't know what they are. Obviously, she doesn't know what love is, that whole predicament. And so she doesn't know what all these feelings are, and she can't, basically keep her composure. I just loved all these scenes like, sure, let's do it. She's like, Urashi. And you just know that she does not like the situation that she's in. But yeah, they actually go sightseeing and everything. And she kind of points out that whenever she's actually having to look after Luca, she doesn't get a chance to actually take in the scenery. So she actually does want to see the sights in Paris. And she just gets lost in it. Obviously, again, going, I cannot believe I'm enjoying this. I shouldn't be enjoying this, but she's actually really enjoying it. She's asking what the cats are. They're just cats. But yeah, then they have this whole goofy moment where Vanitas goes to the restroom and she kind of decides to practice what she's going to say to confess her love to him. And she's talking, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, that's great. And he's actually right behind her, and she freaks out. But this is when it kind of turns more into the serious tone of this entire episode, because this child comes by and scrapes his knee, and she loses her control and goes to bite the kid, and Vanitas jumps in and kind of shields her and takes the bite instead. And that's when, as Dami and the other guy, I forget what his name is, was nearby, they throw down a smoke cloud so they can get away. And then Vanitas and John being alone is the point where he asks her again, are you really a curse bearer? And this is the weird part. It looked like she nodded, but I don't think that she's supposed to respond. Because what we find out is it seems like something is keeping her from being able to say what's wrong with her. And he's kind of pointing this out. That you can't tell me, can you? But she's obviously got the symptoms of a curse bearer. He's asking, what else of a curse bearer are you experiencing? And she can't respond to it. But obviously she's distraught because she feels like she's losing herself slowly. And she's afraid one day she'll attack Luca. She's like, I kept my promise and didn't bite anybody else. Can I have more? And of course he allows her to drink more of his blood, and she starts to lose herself. She starts to lose control of how much she's taking, and eventually she has a vision of Luca. And that's when she brings up the fact that she's afraid she's going to hurt Luca. And that's when Vanitas says, if you do that, I'll kill you. But he's going to try to find out some way of figuring out what's wrong with her, if she's a curse bearer or not. And this is a curious point, because I thought that I didn't know that he has to actually have her admit that she's a curse bearer to cure her. Any other person that's attacked people and stuff that are obviously curse bearers, he just flips open his books, finds out the information about them, and cures them, and gives them back their name, basically, or basically fixes the formula of their name or whatever. And she's not doing that with Jean, so I'm not quite sure why that's the case. And I would say that it's because he knows it's not a curse bearer issue, that it's something else. But no, he's asking, are you a curse bearer? He doesn't know. And it's like, well, why wouldn't you just go through the process of curing her like you do everybody else, that you don't have them say that they're curse bearers, but they're obviously curse bearers? But he doesn't. So it's very weird. It's very weird how they're playing this out. And I'm not sure if it's just something that's not been told to us yet or what. But the interesting thing is there was two visions that she had during this ordeal. One was when she was going crazy and she said that she's losing herself. and had to stop herself. And that's when she brings up the fact that she's afraid she'll harm Luca. And that's when we do get a brief vision of a child that has blood all over him. And I'm assuming that was supposed to be Luca. It didn't really have the characteristics of his, his jacket and his hat and everything, but I'm assuming that was her seeing Luca and in a dire state, and then assuming that she's could harm him. Like, there's a vision of something that could be. But the other vision was when he was asking her information and she couldn't answer. She saw a brief vision of somebody. It was a silhouette with eyes and a hand. And the silhouette, awfully familiar. It looks like Ruthven. So I'm assuming at this point that the one that's basically keeping her from being able to say anything is Ruthven, and could be what's causing her to do that. Now, as we get into the other side of this episode, I'm starting to get a theory here. But yes, on the other side of the episode, while they're having their little date, Ruthven, as we kind of guessed, based on the last episode, how it ended, Ruthven goes to see Noe. Now, I was surprised because I figured Ruthven was going to immediately go in there and attack Noe, but no, he invites him to a cafe, and he apparently reserved the entire place so they can speak alone. And Ruthven basically starts kind of talking to Noe. This is where we have this little scene where Ruthven's kind of talking to Noe pretty casually. They're talking about things like, the fact that Noe's father is the shapeless one, and that he was raised in a home of humans, which is kind of interesting. And it seems like this shapeless one is supposed to be a very powerful vampire, and that Noe doesn't really have any information about him, and Ruthven kind of mentions the idea that he doesn't really know anything about him either. And at some point during this conversation, Noe starts to kind of feel comfortable with Ruthven. At some point kind of pointing out the idea that he sort of reminds him of his father. And the idea that he's comfortable with him, he's got, they're kind of having a casual conversation. But not only that, but he has this feeling like he's in a classroom with his teacher. And that's when Ruthven kind of admits the fact that way back during the time when humans and vampires were slaughtering each other, he used to actually teach a class. And Noe's like, well, where are these people now? And he's like, well, they're all dead. They've all been killed. But even still, like I said, there's this comfortableness that's happening with Noe in his conversation with Ruthven. And Ruthven almost kind of mentions the idea that his kindness is almost something that some people could take advantage of. That it's kind of dangerous that Noe is as trusting as he is, because eventually somebody with a dangerous, mindset is going to take advantage of him. And obviously the question mark comes up is, you're talking about Vanitas, aren't you? He tells him, I don't think Vanitas would ever do that. Vanitas he hates people that would take advantage of other people like that. And Noe kind of harkens back to the conversation that they had. That Vanitas doesn't believe there's a good side, that both humans and vampires are inherently have some people that are disgusting within each group. And Noe kind of has the same feeling as Ruthven asks the same question, what do you think? And he's like, well, I'm just going to protect whoever I want to protect. I don't really see it as vampires and humans. And to this responds Ruthven, you failed the test. And Noe falls over, obviously seemingly poisoned by something, or at least affected by something. Maybe he's been drinking or eating. And that's when Ruthven comes up and starts sucking his blood. And this is where we start getting to my theory. Because again, we had this little brief shot of Ruthven when we were talking about this aspect of John being possibly unable to speak on something, that she's being controlled by something. And obviously herself is affected by something. What is that? What is causing her to have this kind of, these fits of thirst, these fits of not being able to control herself? Obviously, possibly being controlled by somebody. And I think that's possibly what Ruthven's going to do to Noe. I think that Ruthven, similar to Noe, has an ability in his bite, where Noe, he's able to read the memories of somebody. I think Ruthven's going to have the ability to control people. And he probably is using this on Jean, and now he's going to use it on Noe. So I think that's what the direction they're going to go going forward, is that Noe is now going to be controlled by Ruthven. He's going to go attack Vanitas, and then Vanitas is going to have to figure that out and then realize, oh yeah, it's probably the same problem that Jean has as well. Does he have to take out Ruthven at that point? Or is he going to have to dispel it? We don't know at this point. But being that we're coming up to episode 12, which again is the last episode of this core of this part of the case study of Vanitas, I'm thinking that Ruthven might end up being the climax of this particular core, which then the question mark is what's going to come after this in the second core. Big question mark. Well, I guess that would be Narnia and all that other stuff. That stuff all, I guess, is a long-term stuff for sure. But yeah, some definitely, like I said, just some hilarious moments between Jean and Vanitas, followed by, again, what's happening to Jean and was Rufin going to do with Noe? And like I said, I think my theory is going to go on the idea that he's able to control people with his bite, and it's going to make for an interesting, unfortunately, like I said, final episode of this core. But I don't know if they've announced when the second part is going to be quite yet. Obviously not in fall, even though we would all wish for that. But hopefully it's not too long away. I'm gonna hope that it's probably winter of 2022, but I don't know. I hope it's not too far away. I hope they don't get like maybe a half year wait or anything like that. But that's my thoughts on episode 11 of the case study of Vanitas. Hope you guys enjoyed my impressions. If you did, leave a like down below. Comment, let me know what you thought of the episode. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video if you can, and support us on Patreon if you can. And y'all take care.